defend our country on the 7th of October, just 2 years ago. They were both taken hostage by Hamas, the terrorist organization, the night before last. They were finally returned to Israel. Now, the Prime Minister sent his condolences and, speaking to the families and on behalf of the entire nation, embraced them, their dear parents and their family, both the Daniel family and the Neutra family. They both thanked the Prime Minister and asked him to act with the same determination that has brought back all but 8 of our remaining hostages, though tragically only their remains this time. The Prime Minister shared with the families that precise same determination that drives him to bring back all of the murdered hostages, all of the hostages, for proper and dignified burial. The Prime Minister expressed his great appreciation for the heroism of Omer Neutra and Oz Daniel. He said that their actions, fighting even when they were overwhelmed by the terrorist invasion, has served and will serve as an inspiration for generations of defenders of Israel. These 2 men made the ultimate sacrifice for the defense of our country, and the country in turn salutes them and their families. May their memory be a blessing. As of today, 8 murdered hostages remain in Hamas hands. Today marks exactly 3 weeks and 1 day, 22 days to be precise, by which time the agreement said that all of our hostages should have been returned. Now, I can share with you the categorical position of our Prime Minister, that the Hamas terrorist organization is required immediately and without preconditions to uphold its commitment to the mediators. Israel demands that they return all of our hostages as part of the implementation of the agreement. Hamas knows where they are. We will not compromise on this. We will spare no effort until we return all of our hostages, every last one of them. Next to Jamaica, last night the Prime Minister directed that a humanitarian medical aid delegation be dispatched to Jamaica from the State of Israel following the hurricane disaster that has struck the area and caused numerous casualties. Okay, that's the end of what I have to share with you. Please put your questions in the chat and we'll be happy to take them. Okay, I can see a few questions here. The first question here I can see is from Reuters, and the question from Reuters is: the humanitarian situation in Gaza has improved since the ceasefire. The World Food Programme says that only half the needed amount of food is coming in, and an umbrella group of Palestinian agencies said overall aid volumes were between 1/4 and 1/3 of the expected amount, according to the ceasefire agreement. A continuing lack of fuel, your question says, including cooking gas, is also hampering nutrition efforts, and many more tents are needed for the homeless. Please, can you comment? Thank you for that question from Reuters. Let me make the government's position crystal clear. We have adhered to both the spirit and the letter of the agreement. Hundreds of trucks of aid are going in. Israel will not accept the criticism that we are not adhering to the agreement. Hundreds upon hundreds of trucks are going in. The issue, as ever, as CENTCOM itself, the American Armed Forces released over the weekend, that Hamas are looting the aid trucks, they are stealing the aid, they are up to their usual dirty tricks, feeding their own people, stealing the food from their own people and selling it back to them at exorbitant prices. Now, you mentioned the World Food Programme. Very often it is the case that different agencies operating in Gaza don't know what other agencies are doing. But from Israel's point of view, we are adhering to the letter of the agreement. Hundreds upon hundreds of aid trucks are going in. Where there are shortages, they are shortages caused by the terrorist organization. Now, the agreement makes crystal clear that the 20-point agreement that we, hostage release framework that we agreed to with the interlocutors, with our US partners, they said very, very clearly that Gaza must be de-radicalized and disarmed. That means there will be no more Hamas in Gaza. Now, when there is no more Hamas in Gaza, that will mean that the people, the terrorists that steal the aid, will stop stealing the aid. Gaza must become de-radicalized, terror-free zone, posing no threat to both us and its own people. And the issue with aid is most certainly with Hamas, who are stealing the aid. That's the answer to that question. Next question I can see here is from David Clement from the News Forum. Does the Prime Minister's office have comment on the US resolution for a US-backed security force in Gaza? Thank you for that question, David Clement from the News Forum in Canada. I can share with you that Israel agreed to the 20-point framework. We continue to adhere to every single line of that framework. And part of that framework makes very, very clear that Gaza will be de-radicalized and Hamas disarmed, and also that Gaza will be redeveloped for its own people. Of course, Hamas are not keeping to the key point of all of our hostages being returned. There remain 8 of our hostages which should have been returned and have not been returned yet. Israel has adhered to every single part of this agreement. To the army withdrawal, we did conduct a withdrawal to the precise lines that were agreed, and that continues to be the case today. Hamas are breaking the deal. They are attacking our forces as they have done over the past few days, and within this agreement it makes very clear that we have the right to defend our soldiers, which is precisely what we are doing. And of course, when it comes to the future of Gaza, the agreement makes clear that the future of Gaza, the governance will shift from to a transitional technocratic Palestinian committee, apolitical, which means that will be no Hamas, no Palestinian Authority under international oversight, and of course this International Board of Peace, including President Trump and others, will oversee the process and Gaza's reconstruction. Together with that, the agreement also makes clear, and these are issues we're discussing right now, that there will be an international stabilization force within the agreement. All of these points are within the agreement. Israel is adhering to the agreement, and Hamas, unfortunately, are, as usual, in violation of the agreement. That said, you know that Israel has overall control over the security requirements in and over Gaza, and Israel takes that responsibility extremely seriously. October the 7th happened 2 years ago. We will not let that happen again. Our eyes are wide open when it comes to the threats to Israel and its people. Okay, next question is Or Shaked from Israel Hayom. Are you able to confirm whether the remains of another hostage will be transferred today? A Hamas announcement claimed that remains were found about an hour ago. Thank you for that question. I haven't got anything to share with you. Just to reiterate the point that our intelligence services know, and the Prime Minister has made this crystal clear, Hamas know precisely where our hostages are. They know precisely where they are. So this game which they're playing, which they were exposed to the other day when they played this grotesque game of burying the remains of a hostage and then uncovering, using a digger, uncovering the remains of that hostage, this appalling game which they played last week. They've been exposed. Hamas are cheating President Trump. They are cheating the American people. And as President Trump has made clear over the last couple of days, he knows very well what Hamas is up to, as do we, of course. So I haven't got anything more to share with you on that. Next question is from Bashar from Viori News Agency. Is Israel going to attack southern Lebanon? Thank you for that question, Bashar. There is a ceasefire agreement currently in place with Lebanon. There have been positive moves from the government of Lebanon to exert control over its own territory. But this agreement is different to past agreements because Israel has made clear that this is an agreement that will be enforced. Where there is a threat to our country, to Israel, from Hezbollah, either rearming or trying to embed themselves into positions, Israel will not let that happen. And we have made clear now that Lebanon can do more when it comes to enforcing that Hezbollah are not able to rearm and pose a threat to Lebanon as well as to Israel in the future. But the answer to your question is obviously I won't be sharing with you our operational matters, but Israel will enforce the ceasefire agreement. We would prefer that Lebanon enforce the ceasefire agreement, but in the absence of that happening, or not happening to a strong enough degree, Israel will enforce this ceasefire agreement. Okay, last question I can see here is from, there's no name to this question. How long will Israel wait for the killed hostages to come home? This should have been done 3 weeks ago. How much patience do you have? Thank you for that question. Perhaps you can tell us your news outlet. Israel's patience is not inexhaustible. There was an agreement, a 20-point framework hostage release agreement. Israel has adhered to every single part of that agreement, including redeploying our troops, including aid entry, including every single aspect. Hamas are using this as an opportunity to kill their own people. And the key point of this agreement, which was all of our hostages should have been returned by now, they are dragging their feet. It's clear that everyone knows that. The Americans know that Hamas is cheating them. Hamas agreed to this agreement. The key point is Israel's eyes are wide open. We will not go back to October the 6th, 2023. We know what Hamas is. We know what their jihadi ideology is. We know that they will attack us again because that is what their jihadi ideology dictates that they do. And we will defend ourselves. Make no mistake, we will defend ourselves. Hamas must release the last remaining hostages. Israel has been clear about that, and the US has been clear about that. Okay, that's the last question we've got. So thank you for joining us. We'll have another briefing again this time tomorrow. In the meantime, please do stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.